Warning! The following contains content that could result in a positive perspective on life, which some viewers may find motivational and inspirational. Subsequently, audiences may experience changes in behavior, such as becoming productive and determined. Please attempt to try this at home and occupy your place!
Occupiers, you have joined me in what is considered probably one of my happy places. Now, your girl has only gone and found a local hero. Oh yes. Now, global superstar, local hero. Well, a global superstar is someone who owns their business and they've built it from the ground up, and a local hero works for an establishment, but most importantly, they are still occupying their place. So now that you're familiar with the lingo, today we're meeting someone whose passion for motorcycles has accelerated him into his career. While staying in his lane and coming in clutch for customers, he remains a classic. Let's go see him inside. Let's go for it. I've grown up locally, always been in the Romford area. Literally mum, dad and a older brother. Yeah. My mum's an accountant and my dad was a structural engineer and then moved into clerk of works. I would say normal average upbringing, 2 kids, mum and dad always around. My mum and dad won't like me saying this, but I would call them middle class. Yeah, they class themselves as working class, but I think they tend to just verge slightly onto the middle class. My brother went to university. He was always the academic one, whereas I always steered away from that side and was always kind of more hands-on and I suppose more interested in people than pen and paper. So I think they knew that I was never going to end up in university. Yeah, I never had that inclination or interest. My brother took my mum's personality. Yeah, I took my dad's personality and his interests and his traits. So it was always kind of not a separate household, but one that me and my dad got on better than what my brother and my dad did too, because when you have personal interests with each other, it makes things a lot easier. There was always bikes and classic cars in and around the household, and that I think effectively is where I come about being so obsessed with bikes. Yeah, it literally came from my dad. Slightly different, one of my dad's favourite hobbies was for snooker. And guess what? One of my favourite hobbies has been for a long period of time as well. So almost like a mini-me kind of as far as my dad's perspective is concerned. Anything that he was interested in, yeah, I've gone and followed a very, very similar suit to that. Yeah, logical thinking as well, the way he thinks, yeah, which makes him easy to get on with. Yeah, not that I think any teenager didn't like me dad from anywhere between the age of 13 and 18. He was the worst person ever. Late teens and early 20s, and then you start realising dad wasn't such a bad guy after all. But yeah, I think very much so, bikes have come from me dad, without any shadow of doubt. Royal Liberty School, which is Gear Park. One word I would describe it as a nightmare. Yeah, so my brother being so academic, who went to the school before me, I remember being compared by teachers going, not as good as your brother, are you? Yeah, and because I was more sports orientated and my brother was a prefect and a librarian, I was constantly compared to him. And also I think that caused me problems with the students as well, because I had an older brother that was not into sports, the librarian and the prefect, and kind of on the teacher's side, as it were. So don't have fond memories of the Royal Liberty School at all. Don't think it was necessarily their fault, but yeah, I'm glad I'm out of there. Yeah, put it that way. GCSEs was fine, sort of B's and C's, and I was kind of misled, I think, by the careers tutor. I ended up in a design and technology course at Barking College that required being artistic, and I couldn't have been any further apart from being artistic. How that conversation come about, strange what you remember, it's probably, 15, talking to a careers teacher and saying I wanted to be a car or a motorcycle designer, and then ended up on a design and technology course that was so outside of my comfort zone that I only completed the first year, and went a bit, didn't really know what to do after that. So Dad came up with the idea of being a motorcycle mechanic, and that's when there were still local courses available to be able to go and do that, and did my City and Guilds level 3 in motorcycle mechanics. Yeah, and that's where I first entered the industry, being on the tools. Part-time college, and then literally a type of apprenticeship at Eddie Grimstead's Motorcycles, which is another local bike shop back then, getting me through me level 3 on my GMVQ, and literally I've probably moved around about 3 or 4 motorcycle shops before coming here. So it's always been bikes. It always has been. It's the only career I've ever known. So before I kind of moved into sales and running this place, I was a mechanic. I think that comes part of working with my hands rather than sort of on a computer or pen and paper. 19, I'd say, I reckon 19 was the first job, maybe 20, and then I moved around on the tools from about 3 or 4 different bike shops before coming here when I was about 22. Now they didn't, I was out of work at that point, dropped a CV in, and by the time I got home, my dad had said, John's of Romford's already phoned, wants you to come back for an interview. And I remember coming in and I'm thinking I'm going to be in the workshop as a mechanic, and it's like, that's not what I've got, I need a salesman. And it's like, oh right, okay, I needed a job. And it is strange how I've literally fell into this from being out of work, and I've been here for 25 years now. Yeah. So I did do a year, 18 months here when a mechanic left here and they desperately needed someone in the workshop. I did a year, 18 months quite early on. Did a couple of months at a different branch when again another member of staff left, but primarily here, and sales, and just as a salesman to start with. And then about 12 maybe 14 years ago, one of the managers, which was part of the family, retired over at Rush Green. The owner here went over to that branch, and then I stepped up to run his place as sales manager, and have done so ever since. Very strangely, I remember my dad bringing me here on a motorbike when I was about 12 or 13 and saying, wouldn't it be cool to work here? And I just find that quite strange how you can stand in a business which is like 35, 40 years ago and go to Dad, mate, I don't think this would be a bad place to come and work. So it's a bit of destined to work for John's of Romford, to stand there as a child and go, this place looks really cool, wouldn't it be nice? Yeah. And it being so local, it is just so convenient. It really is. My wife says I have OBD, obsessive bike disorder. Yeah. Yeah, because if I'm not here selling them, I'm riding them outside. If I'm not riding, I'm working on one of my own bikes. I think it's very strange and unusual where you can go and do something for 30 years and be as excited today as you were even as a child before you even kind of knew that that's what you was going to do. And so that's all I've ever known, and it's all I've ever wanted to do. And I think I've enjoyed more being in sales than I have been on the tools. General public can be very interesting, sometimes stressful, yeah, but on the whole, you always get surprised by different people coming in, and I think that's part of why I've been here for so long, because the job can be repetitive. You buy a bike, you advertise it, you sell it, but it's the people that make it more interesting which keeps you going, I think. I think I'm going to struggle with that one. Can't think of anyone outside of my family, my dad, that has kind of mentored me. I remember a couple of really cool teachers out of the Royal Liberty School. One more so than anybody else, but that's really the only person I can think of. One English teacher that I remember having a lot of respect for when I was at school, and remember him with a lot of respect now. Very firm guy, you know exactly where you were with him and you didn't mess with him, but then I think that makes life easy. It's very simple. If you know how someone's going to behave towards you, you know what's expected back from you. Valentino Rossi, motorcycle racer, might not mean anything to anyone outside of the motorcycle industry, but he's a pretty spectacular guy, and has been at the top of his game, and he's a nice person with it. Yeah, you can do many things in life, and you can be horrible with it, and you can be successful and horrible. And I think that quite a lot of people forget that you can be nice and successful, and I've always believed in, if you progress in life, so should everyone else alongside you, whether or not that's businesses you work with, colleagues and staff, but also family. I think you can be nice, earn money, yeah, and do well, and I think that gets forgotten these days, that you have to trample on people to get above them, especially in work. I think an awful lot that happens in work. Yeah, everyone's trying to get one over on you a little bit. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like that. I definitely think mum and dad. So one of my work ethics have always been, you need to work harder than the person that's next to you. Yeah. So when it comes to pay rises, bonuses, and a job improvement, if you make sure you work harder than the person that stands alongside you, I like to think that the bosses notice that. And you can't be expected to get a pay rise if you do less than the person next to you, and yet so many people don't think like that. You know, you do as little as you possibly can to receive your salary without getting the sack, and that's not how I don't think you should go through. I have a lot more respect for people that work hard, and it's a team event. Johns and Romford is very much a team event, and you help each other, not try and get one over on each other. There's only one thing that I would say, and it's my wife that literally sorted me out on this one, is I used to like a drink a bit too much. So effectively 19 to 23, I suppose, sort of 4 years, really quite, I would say, heavy drinking, 6 nights a week. And the only night that I wouldn't drink was to play snooker. So I had a legitimate reason, because you can't play drunk. If you want to be competitive snooker, you can't play drunk. And so that was the only reason why I would be not drinking, which was on a Sunday, to play in a snooker league. And you think it's great at the time, until things get a little bit out of hand. And she wasn't my wife at the time, but she did give me a very stern warning that this isn't how things need to continue. And so that would probably be the only thing that I've had to get my head around. I still like a drink, I haven't stopped, but I now know when that place is. Yeah. And now it's a couple of times a month, just for a bit of enjoyment, rather than something that was 6 days a week. Which sounds crazy, getting drunk 6 days a week and still trying to go to work. It's not easy, but that's the only thing I've had to get over realistically. Yeah. But I had a good girlfriend at the time, which became my wife. My philosophy is, if you're going to do something, you do it right, and if you're going to start something, you don't quit halfway through. It's always been something that's in my head, and it doesn't even matter whether or not it's a small thing or something really big. If you want to go and do something, you just have to grit your teeth and just get on with it. And yes, it might be a little bit difficult, or you might not be enjoying it at that point, but if you've started it, it needs to be finished. And yeah, that's how I've run my entire life, I think. Yeah, if you're going to do something, you just do it well. Yeah, or you just don't bother starting it. If you don't have the passion and the want and belief that you really want to do it, then what's the point in starting it? The only sacrifice that I would say is there's different industries to earn more money on. The bike industry is a passion, but I enjoy what I do, and I think I would never change anything. So I've had a couple of opportunities to move into the car network without any shadow of a doubt. Being a sales manager for a car dealership, even just being on the showroom floor in normal sales on a car, it earns you more money, but it doesn't necessarily mean you enjoy getting up to work. And one of the worst things in life is hating getting up on a Monday morning. It's really not a nice thing. My wife has a job that I don't think she particularly enjoys too much, and if she could do something else and do something that she enjoyed, she would. And I do appreciate the fact that I've got quite lucky that I do something I enjoy. I very much want customers to walk out of here, yeah, having a positive vibe and a feel of not only the business but also of me. I do think the customer, and I know it sounds cheesy, the customer is one of the most important things. And if they walk out of here unhappy, very easy to leave Google reviews. And when you are unhappy, you tell 20 people. When you're happy, you might tell 2. So a business goes very rapidly wrong if you have a couple of bad staff, a couple of lazy staff, and realistically, I just want an easy, enjoyable life at work. And if the customers are happy, mate, that makes my working life happy. Because when they're not, whose ears do they burn? It's mine. If you're not happy with something I've sold you, guess what? You're coming back to me. Yeah, and that's not how this place is run. One of the biggest and easiest things that I find, yeah, is you treat people how you want to be treated yourself. It is so easy. If everyone did that, it would be such a nicer place. If everyone just was a bit more thoughtful, a little bit more respectful, and didn't have what I think is now an opinion of I'm more important than everybody else, when I think everyone's exactly the same. I'm not more important than you. I'm not more important than any other member of staff here. And if everyone had that ethos, mate, this world would be a nicer place. Try and find something you have a natural interest in, because as soon as you have a natural interest in it, your job becomes far less stressful. When you have a natural interest in something, you become more knowledgeable, and when someone picks your brains, it becomes very easy, because it's not a chore to try and research or learn something. Yeah, it just comes natural. And it's not an easy thing. I know it's not. It's not an easy thing to find a job that you have a natural interest in and enjoy. It's not an easy thing, but if you can find it, you're very lucky. Respect your missus. Life is made a lot easier. Yeah. Look, I'm really lucky. Me and my missus get on really well. I think that comes back to one of my previous ones, where you treat people how you want to be treated yourself. If you have a really cool relationship with your missus, life again is a lot simpler. Yeah, no dramas, no arguments, no headaches at home, because that's what we got to do when we leave work. Go home to your missus, making sure you're prepared. Yeah, not getting caught out. So literally nothing is done last minute, and you just keep yourself organised. Yeah, you plan and you know what customers are coming in, what's expected from you. Just not leave everything to last minute. Just keep yourself organised. I do get frustrated with what I call scatty people, where they say they're going to do something and they don't. And I just think it's really simple. Do what you say you're going to do when you're supposed to do it, and again, everything's a lot rosier. I've done so many training courses with the manufacturers, and they all have these little ideas and techniques, and I've always kept this to myself. Sales is the easiest thing in the world. You just do what you're supposed to do when you're going to do it. And how can the customer not be happy because he's received what he was expecting from you when he's supposed to get it? And in 30 years of me doing courses with manufacturers, not one person taking these courses have ever said, do what you say you're going to do. It's not rocket science, is it? Yeah, and yet everyone misses it. So many people miss it. It's why we get so frustrated when we walk into business and shops. Yeah, is all you're asking for the guy or the girl, female, to do what they're supposed to do, and it seems to be the minute you get off the phone, the minute you leave the store, they're like, yeah, I wasn't going to do it anyway. It's so simple. Just do what you're supposed to do. Job done. I just get so frustrated because I try so hard here, yeah, to just make sure everyone's happy, and yeah, mate, it just don't happen. But then that person gets frustrated when they don't receive the level of customer service that they expect. But when they're doing their job, they're like, mate, what does it matter? I don't really care about them anyway. As long as I get my wages at the end of the week, that's all that matters. And they don't link the two. And I think that comes back to treating people how you'd like to be treated yourself. But where their mindset is I want to receive really awesome customer service. I want to be treated really well. Do I really want to work as hard as I should at my job? Nah, I don't. Yeah, I just want my wages. As long as I get my wages, that's all that matters. That's probably back to one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give. Yeah, is you give what you receive. I think my wife. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So we've been together. She watches this. I'll get her in trouble if I get the years wrong. Yeah. Right. We've been together, I think, about 26 years. Yeah. And yeah, that's a long time. I'm 47. Yeah. 26 years is a long time, and I would say my gratitude would go to my missus, my job, and my family. Yeah. I've got a couple of great kids. Yeah. Work allows you to enjoy everything else outside. Yeah, I probably work a little bit too hard if my family were to be asked the question. But work gives you the money to do what you want to do outside of it. And I've never thought anything different. I've always told my kids that. So that's come from your dad. Yeah. Work gives you the money to have your fun, and if you can get the right job to do it, yeah, then life outside becomes a lot easier. I am stubborn. I definitely. So once I've made my mind up on something, once I've got a concept or an idea in my head, very difficult for you to change my mind. And so I reckon I am stubborn, but I don't think that's a bad stubborn. That's stubborn in the sense of, goes back to something else I said, if you start something you've got to continue it, which is a characteristic of someone who's stubborn. Yep, so you just don't give up, you just keep on going. And yeah, I think some people would consider stubborn to be a bad thing, but I think if you use it rightly, I think it can be a good thing. That was far less stressful.
Occupied.
Oh yes.